Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are on, I think, a really ambitious mission.
Uh-huh.
We're trying to figure out that single invisible thing that, holds you back from really maximizing your potential.
Right.
And we're not just talking about work or money, but like fulfillment in love, creativity, all of it.
The whole picture.
Exactly. And what's wild is that this obstacle, it doesn't just stop people who are struggling. It seems to actively trip up people who are already super successful.
Hmm.
The source material, it actually has a name for this. It calls it the upper limit problem.
Or ULP for short.
ULP.
That's right. And the ULP is, it's best to think of it like an internal thermostat.
A thermostat.
Exactly. We all have this psychological comfort zone,
Yeah.
It dictates how much love, how much success, how much just plain happiness we're allowed to feel.
Allowed in massive air quotes.
Huge quotes, yeah. So if life starts going too well, you get a big promotion, you find an amazing partner, your internal thermostat just goes, warning, warning, exceeding the limits.
And then what happens?
Well, once you hit that limit, your own mind starts to manufacture self-sabotaging thoughts, or it'll pick an argument, or create some kind of behavior that's specifically designed to pull you back down.
Back to the familiar.
Back into the familiar, restricted, and yeah, often chaotic zone. It's supposed to be a safety mechanism, but it just ends up being a glass ceiling on your life.
What's so striking to me is that this isn't just a theory for, people who are still trying to make it.
No, not at all.
The sources are pretty clear that managing this, transcending the upper limit problem, is a skill that really successful people practice. They mentioned Michael Dell, for example.
Absolutely. He gets that you have to embrace expansion, not resist it when things are going great. And honestly, the more successful you become, the more urgent this whole problem gets.
Why is that?
Because the potential damage from the self-sabotage is just magnified. The gap between your potential and where you are is wider. So when that ULP switch gets flipped, the mess up is usually pretty spectacular.
And we have some, truly mind-boggling stats to back this up,
Yeah.
especially with money.
Oh, yeah. To start with the most dramatic example, lottery winners.
Right.
The studies that track these people, who get this huge instant windfall of cash, they show that over 60% of them manage to blow all of it.
All of it.
Every penny. They often end up right back where they started or sometimes even worse off. And this is all within just a couple of years.
60% in 2 years. That's
Mm.
staggering. It sounds like financial security is less important than the feeling of what's familiar.
That's it. Exactly. It's like an immediate self-correction back to the chaos they subconsciously expect.
Wow.
Yeah, the source details this one case, Jack Whitaker. He won over $300 million in the Powerball.
Life-changing money.
Should have been. But the second that wealth hit, it's like it just instantly tripped his ULP. Instead of security, he got absolute chaos. His wife divorced him, he got robbed of hundreds of thousands in cash, and he was hit with more than 400 lawsuits. It gets worse. His granddaughter, just overwhelmed by it all, died of an overdose in his home. The money just wouldn't stick because his ULP was screaming that he wasn't safe or deserving of that level of success.
So it's not just money, though.
Yeah.
Big career success can trip the same wire.
It's endemic. Look at Bill Clinton. In '98, the economy was on fire. His approval ratings were through the roof.
And that's exactly when he engaged in behavior that led to impeachment.
Right. Why create a crisis at your absolute peak because he hit his internal limit for feeling good?
Or John Belushi. A #1 album, a top-grossing movie, a hit TV show all at once. And then his life just spiraled. It's not just burnout, it's something more systemic.
It's a systemic return to adversity, just as the universe is handing you every reward. Even the smaller examples tell the story.
Like Boris Becker.
Boris Becker, yeah. Wins Wimbledon at 17 years old. And what does he do? He immediately fires the coach who got him there. Of course, he crashes the next year.
And Christian Bale. After The Dark Knight's huge premiere, he gets into this altercation with his family. Assault charges are filed.
The common thread isn't the scandal itself. It's that they all found a way to avoid actually relishing the achievement.
Right. They manufacture a crisis, pick a fight, get sick, anything to stop the flow of that positive energy.
They have a limited tolerance for feeling good. And to really get at this problem, we have to look at what it's built on.
Okay.
It rests on this foundation of 4 hidden fears or false beliefs that keep the upper limit in place.
And this feels important. We should probably slow down here because identifying these seems like the key to dissolving the whole thing. So what are they?
Okay, so the first barrier is the fear of feeling fundamentally flawed. And this is that deep unconscious whisper that says, I can't expand to my full genius because there's something secretly inherently wrong with me. It's not just low self-esteem. It's a belief you carry some kind of invisible, unforgivable stain.
How does that even show up? It sounds almost impossible to fight because you're arguing with a ghost.
That's the insidious nature of it. The source talks about a client named Carl who spent his whole adult life feeling like he'd committed some secret crime.
But he hadn't.
No. His deep work revealed that his father hated his mother and had projected all that hatred and guilt onto his son. He basically convicted Carl of a crime that was all about the family dynamic.
So he was carrying his father's verdict.
Exactly. And until you shine a light on where that feeling comes from, it will always stop you just short of real success.
We're carrying guilt for stories that aren't even ours.
Yeah.
That explains why success can feel so heavy for some people.
It absolutely does, which leads right into the second barrier, the fear of disloyalty and abandonment.
Okay.
This is that deep-seated anxiety that if you succeed, you're going to end up alone, that you'll be disloyal to your friends, your family, the people who are still struggling.
The idea that if I get too happy or too successful, I won't be part of the tribe anymore.
Precisely. And the unconscious mind will literally enact a punishment for that kind of rebellion. There's this vivid example of the newlyweds, Robert and Dee.
They eloped in Reno against the family's wishes. They were just blissfully, intensely happy. And in the middle of this spontaneous celebration, they roll off a blanket right into a huge patch of poison oak.
Oh, no.
Their intense, unauthorized happiness was met with a very visible, very painful physical punishment. Their minds literally created this sickness to correct for too much joy and disobedience.
Wow. The mind using physical pain to pull them back to an acceptable level of suffering, that's potent.
It is. The third barrier is the belief that success is a burden.
That achieving more just means taking on a bigger load.
Yeah, that you're becoming a bigger imposition on the world. The author's own story here is really personal. His father died right after he was conceived, and his mother fell into a deep depression. He realized that, from birth, he had unconsciously taken on this role of being a burden to his mother.
And that template, that just gets carried into adulthood. Absolutely. Years later, his first book is published. Huge success, right? But instead of congratulations, his family treated it like a further burden they now had to deal with. It just reinforced that original destructive belief.
And the fourth one,
The fourth barrier is the crime of outshining.
which sounds a bit like the disloyalty one.
It's related, but it's more specific. This is the fear of dimming your own brilliance so you don't make other people look or feel bad. So many of us throttle our own potential because we learned early on that being too bright brought negative attention or envy.
I can see that.
The Kenny Loggins story is a perfect illustration. He had all this solo success, but he kept finding ways to get sick or have an accident right after a new hit song or an award.
He was dimming his own light.
He realized he was subconsciously terrified of outshining his old partner, his siblings. It was only after he saw that pattern, that fear of his own brilliance, that he could make a true leap of faith into what the book calls his zone of genius.
Okay, so these are the deep foundational barriers. How do they actually show up day to day? What are the little habits?
Right, these are the microaggressions against our own happiness. The book calls them upper limiting. And the most common one, maybe the most useless, is worry.
Everyone worries. How is that an upper limit behavior?
Most worry is just upper limit noise. It's chaos that you manufacture to keep you safely in the familiar zone by, dealing with doom before it even happens.
So it's only useful if you can do something about it right now.
Exactly. If it leads to immediate positive action on something you can control, everything else is just noise that kills positive energy.
That billionaire example from the source really captures the absurdity of it.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
This guy could lose millions in the market in a single day and not blink, but he was constantly criticizing his wife for buying expensive toilet paper.
Which cost a tiny fraction of his daily stock fluctuation.
Less than 1%. But it was a small, controllable worry he could focus on instead of confronting the overwhelming reality of his own success.
Okay, next up is criticism and blame.
Yes. The source calls these costly addictions and the #1 destroyer of intimacy. And this is so important for you listening. Remember that statistic, 80% of successful people report unsatisfying marriages.
And that dissatisfaction is often the ULP manifesting as criticism.
The pressure cooker of success makes the problem worse, and criticism becomes the release valve. self-criticism, criticizing others. It's all the same pattern. The Dell executive, John, is a great example.
He'd explode right after getting good news.
Right. And he realized he was just subconsciously recreating how his father communicated. His dad would give praise, but always with a hidden slap or criticism attached. So John was replaying that same uncomfortable dynamic in his own life.
Okay, a third behavior is deflecting. This one feels subtle. We all do it.
It's insidious. Deflecting is how we shut down positive energy by refusing to accept compliments. Someone says, that presentation was brilliant, and you say, nah, I got lucky, the slides basically wrote themselves.
You literally won't let the positive energy land.
You won't. You fail to register or claim the energy of your own gifts. And this is critical. This is what traps us in what's called the zone of competence or excellence. It stops us from getting to the zone of genius because we refuse to own the identity that comes with our gifts.
Which brings us to relationships and squabbling. Arguments.
Most arguments are caused by both people racing to occupy the victim position. The fight isn't about the dishes. It's about who gets to claim the moral high ground of being the one who is suffering more.
And the resolution for that is, what was it, the 200% responsibility principle?
That's the one. It sounds radical.
It does. How can I take 100% responsibility for a fight my partner started? Isn't that just taking all the blame?
That's the first reaction, yeah. But the principle says if two people are in a conflict, there's 200% responsibility to go around. You take 100% responsibility for your contribution to both the creation and the resolution of the fight.
So even if my contribution was just avoiding the issue.
Avoidance, criticism, deflection, whatever it was, when you own it completely, you instantly disarm the ULP mechanism, which needs an external problem to survive.
That reframes the whole point of a conflict. It's not about winning.
It's about owning your part in the dance. And finally, the last one is getting sick or hurt.
Okay.
Illnesses, accidents, they are often the unconscious mind's very clumsy way of enacting what the source calls the 3 Ps: punishment, prevention, or protection.
The example of Ryan, the stockbroker, was really stark.
Yeah, he was having this ecstatic but totally integrity-breaching lunchtime affair. And almost immediately, he starts developing these killer migraines. They just incapacitate him.
And the migraine was?
The migraine was his unconscious mind's punishment, the perfect killjoy to drag him back down to the familiar, less joyful life he felt he deserved.
So if the ULP is the barrier, and we get the fears and the daily sabotage stuff, what's the actual solution?
The solution is to make what the source calls the big leap. You have to move into your zone of genius.
Which?
It's the set of activities where you use your unique gifts, the things you are supremely suited to do. It's where work feels like play, and time just kind of vanishes.
But a lot of successful people are already in their zone of excellence. Why isn't that good enough?
That distinction is so important. The zone of excellence is where you do things you're really, really good at. You get praise, you get money, it feels safe. But the risk there is rusting from the inside out. You're competent, but you're not lit up, you're not on fire. The author realized this when he had a personal crisis, despite all his outward success. The zone of genius is the only place the ULP can't touch you, because your core purpose is driving you, not your fear.
So how do we make that leap? It sounds like it requires a huge shift.
It does. And the core tool the source offers is the Ultimate Success Mantra, or USM. It's a way to reprogram your unconscious mind.
And the mantra is?
I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same.
And that resistance you feel when you say it, that little voice of doubt, that's the ULP talking back.
Exactly. That backtalk is useful data. It tells you exactly where your limits are. If your mind screams, no, that's greedy, then you know your limit is around wealth. If it says, you can't inspire people, your limit is the crime of outshining.
And on a practical level, we need the enlightened no.
The enlightened no is just saying no to things outside your zone of genius, but not because you don't have time or money.
But in service of your genius.
Yes, it's a statement of commitment. And what's amazing is that when you explain your no that way, it often inspires the other person. It turns a rejection into a gift.
Okay, finally, let's talk about this radical shift in how we see time itself.
We have to move from Newtonian time, this idea that time is a fixed external thing you're always running out of, to Einstein time.
And the big idea there is, you're where time comes from. That's a challenging concept. How can I do where time comes from? We all have 24 hours in a day.
You do, but your experience of time, whether it's scarce or abundant, is generated internally. It's based on your level of ownership. When you take full ownership of your life, you generate as much time as you need for what's important. The Newtonian mindset just leads to time complaints.
Like saying, I don't have time.
Which the source says is usually a polite lie.
A lie.
A lie we tell to avoid saying, I don't want to do that, or I'm hiding in my zone of excellence instead of committing to my genius. The story of the father waiting for his daughter is perfect here. Time crawled like molasses for him because he was resisting the emotional truth of the situation.
The moment he accepted it, time started flowing again.
Right. Stress and conflict are just resistance to acceptance and ownership. And that includes owning your own clock.
So what does this all mean for the person listening right now? The path seems to be recognize the ULP, become aware of the 4 barriers and the daily sabotage, and then commit fully to your zone of genius.
Exactly. And that commitment will have the biggest payoff in your most important relationships. Remember that 80% statistic about successful people in unhappy marriages. The solution is to see your relationship not as a break from the work, but as the ultimate spiritual path. It requires constant commitment from both people to break through their upper limits together.
It all comes back to self-actualization, doesn't it? As the author's neighbor, Mr. Lewin, told him, God won't ask you, why were you not Moses?
He will ask, why were you not Sam Lewin?
You owe it to yourself to find and fully use your own unique gifts. So I guess the question for you is, what aspect of your life, your time, your money, your love, do you need to take full 100% responsibility for, starting right now?